spearheaded on a collision course.
The 45th president is the only one to formally launch a campaign so far, but DeSantis continues to gain increased attention from Republicans, especially after his easy re-election here in Florida. Trump has already begun to lash out at the governor publicly, and DeSantis shot back on the day of Trump's 2024 announcement. The governor said people should go check out the scoreboard from last week's midterm elections. Greg Clugston, Palm Beach.
And on Wall Street, stocks are now mixed. The Dow ahead 25 points, but the Nasdaq down 148. More at townhall.com.
Charlie Dombeck here from Key City Capital. As a practicing CPA for nearly 30 years, I have found that 80% of your ability to grow your wealth is dependent upon two factors: taxes and investment performance. At Key City Capital, we improve investment performance by diversifying capital into off-market investment opportunities in passive rental real estate and alternatives like asset-backed lending. We recover dollars that clients unnecessarily pay in the form of income taxes, creating a lifetime annuity of savings. We are a sponsor of passive, affordable single and multifamily residential rental investments, which are located in Sunbelt landlord-friendly states. These investments are the top choices in a rising interest rate and inflationary environment. They represent a store of value, protecting your capital from market volatility. Learn how we at Key City Capital can help you ultimately grow your wealth rapidly. Connect with me at keycitycapital.com or give me a call at 817-912-1569.
Welcome home to St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
Definitely not a Republican wave, that's for darn sure.
We start off with 2 words.
News, analysis, and opinion.
It's been a very exciting night.
The people have delivered their verdict.
I will work just as hard.
We are never going to abandon common sense.
To make this new term.
Freedom is here to stay.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
From the News Talk STL newsroom, I'm Joey Vasevich. 3 weeks after closing Jana Elementary for possible contamination, a third report finds no harmful radiation. The Hazelwood School District Board heard results Tuesday from a third round of testing they ordered following 2 conflicting reports. One board member said he wasn't convinced that the health risk for children in the school building is greater than the risk in their own homes. A 67-year-old psychiatrist from Chesterfield appeared in federal court Tuesday and admitted defrauding Medicare, Medicaid, and other insurers of millions of dollars through phony claims he filed over the years. The doctor and his business partner would overcharge insurers and sometimes be paid up to $50,000 for a single urine test. The performance of Jay Leno and Jeff Foxworthy, scheduled for Friday at the Fox Theater, has been canceled after Leno suffered burns in a gasoline fire. The Fox Theater says all tickets will be automatically refunded at the point of purchase and will be processed later this week. Ticket holders will receive credit in the next 7 to 10 days. According to Furniture Today, Weekends Only will be closing its stores, citing the retirement of owner Tom Phillips, who is 70 years old. The date of the final closing is not yet known, but liquidation sales are expected to begin in January. The company has about 400 employees. And in sports, the Blues are in Chicago tonight to face the Blackhawks. Puck drop is at 6:30 p.m. For in-depth coverage of these stories and more, go to newstalkstl.com.
So many ways to listen to News Talk STL.
Come join the conversation.
Enable our Alexa skill. Hey Alexa, play News Talk STL.
Welcome to News Talk STL, conservative talk radio for St. Louis.
Always streaming at newstalkstl.com or on your radio at 101.9, 94.1, and 99.1 HD3. News Talk STL. News, analysis, and opinion. Welcome home. From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
I'm News 4 meteorologist Leah Hill with your first alert forecast. There is a bitter chill in the air today with temperatures topping out at 36 degrees and a wind chill making it feel like the lower 20s. Bundle up if you head out. Temperatures fall into the 20s tonight. Few flurries also possible this afternoon and through the evening with no impacts to roads or accumulations. Tomorrow's temperatures reaching 40 degrees. That's been your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by The Dental Link. Call Dr. Alan Link today, 314-794-6464 to schedule your free consultation. Offices in Baldwin and Melville, 314-794-6464. Tony Colombo.
Libertarianism is all about individual liberty.
Katie Fitzpatrick.
Oh, good for you.
Colombo and Katie on News Talk STL.
Time to rise has been engaged. We're better, best to rearrange. I'm talking here to me alone. I listen to the finest work song. The finest hour.
Hello and welcome to Colombo and Katie on a Wednesday afternoon here at 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. I am Tony Colombo. My partner Katie Fitzpatrick, of course, on maternity leave. So producer Stel Ponticus is here with me as usual. Great to see you, buddy.
Hey, howdy, and happy Wednesday.
Yeah, back at you. Wednesdays have been a packed day for us in recent weeks, and will be again today. Rodney Boyd, the Insider's Insider, was going to join us. We promoted that a little bit earlier, but he is traveling and he is not going to be able to join us today. So we'll catch up with Rodney next week. We are going to talk to our friend Virginia Kruta from the Daily Wire here in just a few minutes. That'll be in about 15 minutes from now as part of the 2 o'clock hour. And then in the 3 o'clock hour, our half of it, at least, before Tim Jones and Chris Arps take over at 3:30. It being Wednesday means it's time to open up Close's cabinet. So we'll do that just after 3 o'clock, about an hour from now. Catch up with our old friend Mark Close from KC95. Had a little bit of fun with him. So that is always something that I look forward to.
Oh, more than just a little bit of fun.
Yes.
It's usually a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So definitely looking forward to that. So great show on tap for you here. Make sure that you never miss anything that happens on Colombo and Katie by subscribing to our podcast on your favorite podcast platform, whatever that may be. We are on all of them: Spotify, Apple, Amazon, Google. You can also subscribe to us on the Colombo and Katie YouTube channel. All right, Stel, lots to talk about today. Of course, Trump made his announcement yesterday. Want to get into that. There's been not only talk about the announcement itself, but some of the reaction and fallout from it.
Did you get a chance to watch?
I did.
Much of it? Did you?
I did. I watched most of it. I didn't watch the entire. It was over an hour.
It was kind of long.
Yeah, I didn't watch the entire thing, but I did watch most of it. I watched a big chunk of it. So, and I thought it was pretty good. So we'll get into that, and again, some of the fallout from that. There's also an update. If you were listening to Dan Bongino before this show, there's a further development in the Paul Pelosi story.
It gets weirder and weirder.
It gets weirder and weirder. There's also a very interesting Hunter Biden story in the news today that we will get into as we go through the especially this 2 o'clock hour here. But I want to start with the same way that we started yesterday, Stel. I'm going to ask you to get a pen and keep a little scoreboard for us, because just like yesterday, Republicans are still one seat away from officially capturing the majority in the U.S. House. And
is this Groundhog Day?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You know what? I really thought it was going to be the same number even. Yesterday, when we started the show, we did exactly this, and there were 13 seats still out there. I really thought there was still 13, but it's actually down to 9.
Oh, okay.
So, and some of those races we knew were like, that we talked about yesterday that still hadn't been called, were
pretty sure
expected to go to the Democrats. And I think that they just called those races that were very lopsided and expected to go to the Democrats, and that's why it's down to 9 now. So let's take a look real quick. Let's go over these 9 and let's see what let's see if we can figure out what we think is probably going to happen. So again, most of these races are in California, and I'll explain why in a second, but we'll start in Alaska. So race number 1, Alaska's at-large congressional district, has been rated as a lean Democrat due to the state's newly implemented ranked choice voting, which gives the incumbent there, a Democrat, Mary Pelota, an advantage against her Republican opponents, one of which is former Governor Sarah Palin. So Alaska, let's do a let's have 3 columns on your sheet over there. Let's do a toss-up column, a Republican column, and a Democrat column. So this one we'll put under the Democrats because this is a seat that most are predicting is a lean Democrat seat. So let's just give that one to the Democrats. In Maine, similarly, with Alaska, has the ranked choice voting system. And incumbent Democrat there, Representative Jared Golden, failed to reach the 50% of the vote that would have allowed that to just kind of be over with without these multiple rounds and dragging it out. But that race is considered a toss-up. So even though the Democrat is leading, it's considered a toss-up. So put Maine in the toss-up category. Colorado 3 is the only other one that's not in California. That is Lauren Boebert. That has been way closer than expected, but she continues to lead, and that seat is considered to be likely Republican in the rating. So let's put that one under the Republican seat. All right, and then California. What's going on in California is, like we talked about yesterday, a lot of these races, only about half of the votes have been counted, even though we're a week and a day past Election Day, because California accepts mail-in ballots for an entire week after Election Day, as long as the postmark is Election Day. So they theoretically were still even just getting votes in the mail as late as yesterday. So that's why California is so behind on so many of these things.
And you know what? You had Veterans Day on top of it, where there was no mail delivery.
Great point. Great point.
Oh, my goodness.
Great point. So California 3, Republican Kevin Kiley holds a commanding lead over the Democrat in that race, but because it's only about half the votes counted, they haven't called it yet. That seat is expected to go Republican, however. So that's in the likely Republican race. So let's give that one to the Republicans because, again, it's ranked as likely Republican, and he's winning handily right now. California 13 is a toss-up, so put that one in the toss-up race. Republican there, John Durante, narrowly leads currently, but it's less than 1,000 votes and considered a toss-up. California 22, another tight race. The Republican currently leads the Democrat in that one as well, but that one is considered a toss-up also, so put that one as a toss-up. 3 more, California 27, Republican also holds a commanding lead there. That is a lean Republican seat. So let's put that one as the Republicans because the Republican has a big lead and is expected to win. 2 more, California 47, the incumbent Democrat, Katie Porter, leads that one. The race is considered a toss-up, so put that one in the toss-up category. And the last one, also a toss-up. The Democrat is currently leading in that one. So that's the 9 races that are out there. Republicans only need one of them to happen to secure a majority. So how many of those 9 do we have in the Republican category?
So the tally board shows.
Yes. Let's go to the board.
Let's go to the board, and we'll see 4 in the toss-up category, 3 in the Republican category, 2 in the Democratic category.
Okay. So it looks like even, I guess, not worst case scenario because none of these races are done yet, but a 2-seat majority, 3-seat majority is probable. It is probably what you're looking at. And then if you want to split the toss-ups, just split them in half, just to be fair.
2 and 2.
That's done another 2.
That'd be 5. Maybe.
Yeah. So
5
realistically, a realistic chance, like best case scenario, realistic best case scenario, 5-seat majority.
Okay.
Maybe you get super lucky and it's 6 or 7, but somewhere between 3
and
5 is probably realistic.
I'd say that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. That's probably what it's going to look like. So who knows how much freaking longer it's going to take to actually figure this out. But I think we're pretty safe saying that the Republican majority is going to be somewhere between 3 and 5 seats.
Unless a bunch of ballots show up unannounced. But
yes, unless a bunch of ballots show up unannounced. You are exactly right. Yes, but yeah, okay. That's pretty amazing. It's better than like. Obviously, they were talking about 20 seats or 30 seats at some points, and then even just a few days ago they were talking about 1 seat. So I guess it's better than 1 seat, but still not nearly the results, obviously, as we've been talking about throughout the week, that the Republicans had hoped for and expected. So we will keep an eye on it, but I think that as you wonder and wait and get frustrated about how long it takes for these votes to be counted and these races to be called, I think it's pretty safe to say that the Republicans will have somewhere between a 3 and 5 seat majority.
And folks in other countries are looking at this. Yeah, folks are looking at this and wondering what is wrong in the U.S. of A.
There's people in the U.S. of A. Looking at this and wondering that as well.
Yeah.
We talked a lot this week about the challenges to Republican leadership, and that kind of came and went.
It sure did.
It was more talk than action. We talked yesterday about how Kevin McCarthy won the Republican nomination. That vote not done yet. The full House will vote in January, so that process is not completely done for Kevin McCarthy, but certainly took the first big step in the right direction for him to become the next Speaker of the House in the House's vote yesterday. And today, the Senate voted, and Mitch McConnell won his Senate leadership election, overcoming a challenge by Florida former governor, Senator Rick Scott. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell today won re-election as Senate GOP leader, fending off a challenge from Senator Rick Scott and setting himself up to become the longest-serving party leader in the history of the Senate. McConnell won a vote that broke 37-10, with one senator abstaining. This, according to Senator Ted Cruz, who shared this with the media. Cruz and several other GOP senators had called for the vote to be postponed until after the December 6th Georgia Senate runoff, but a motion to do that from Cruz failed 32-16 ahead of the leadership vote earlier today. Rick Scott didn't win the election, but Senator Mike Braun of Indiana, who was one of his most vocal backers, said he believed Scott's candidacy and his challenge and this process may have changed how Republicans operate going forward. Senator Braun said after the vote, quote, "I told Leader McConnell, this has been the healthiest experience since I've been here in terms of caucus discussion. And Rick, in my mind, brought it out to where we made it a discussion." Josh Hawley, our senator here in Missouri, who has been very outspoken against McConnell over the last couple of weeks and also backed Senator Cruz in that attempt to delay the vote, said today after the votes were cast, quote, "Are we going to continue caving in to Democrats? I hope the answer is no, and I hope leadership will think twice about it after this." So
I agree with Josh.
Yeah.
Yep.
I guess the thought out there is that the challenge alone and it being brought front and center and being such a talking point in the Senate and in the media and in the public is going to have some impact and influence on the way that Senator McConnell operates going forward. But I guess we will have to see.
Judging by his track record, I'm not enthused, but yeah, you're right. We'll see.
Yeah, he was he was asked. Mitch was asked after the vote today about stepping aside after this because now he's set the record. So in case that was important to him, like now you've set the record after this session. You'll be the longest leader of a party in the history of the Senate. So
longest tenure.
Longest tenure as leader. So after this, will you consider stepping aside? And his only answer was, "I'm here to stay."
Oh man.
Yeah. So to your point,
all right.
Does it sound like he's changing his approach?
No, not at all.
Anyway.
Okay.
So Donald Trump's announcement. It was the announcement for presidency, which we had all sort of predicted. You know, it became more and more obvious as we got closer and closer to the moment actually happening. Like I said, I watched most of it, and I thought that I thought he did a nice job. I thought he did a really good job of laying out his
track record.
His track record.
Yeah.
The accomplishments he made as president. And when he sticks to that, I mean, if you just stick to policy and track record, like you say, Stell, and you look back at, crime statistics, the situation at the border, the economy, foreign policy, the military, all of these things, it is nearly impossible to argue that Donald Trump didn't have the country in a better position than Joe Biden and the Democrats have it in right now. So there's obviously a lot more that goes into it than, for voters, than that. But when presented the way it was presented last night, when he laid out his track record, he didn't really get personal with at least anybody on the Republican side.
Mm-hmm.
Was very critical, obviously, of the Democrats and the direction of the country.
But I thought he was very measured.
I thought it was a pretty effective, like just personally watching it, I thought it was a pretty effective announcement and a pretty good case that he made to the American people about why he's the right guy for the job. Even though I'm not necessarily the biggest Trump supporter, I thought it was a really nice job. What did you think of the announcement?
The one part that really struck me and encouraged me was that he was staunchly behind Herschel Walker and actually came out and said, hey, we need to support this guy. We need to stand behind him. At least for me, I thought, okay, now you've actually walked across that bridge and you're actually saying, yeah, let's get out there and support him, do whatever's necessary to get him in. And that part made me feel good. And as I just mentioned, I thought he did a very measured style for the speech. And, of course, he had to endure other folks on the other side saying, well, it was boring and he was lackluster. The guy can't win.
Right. You know? No, absolutely not. He can't win. And what would have not been boring, him calling names, like slinging mud at Ron DeSantis or other Republicans. I'm sure that's what some in the media wanted him to do so they could attack him for it.
Yes.
And since he didn't, they call it boring. But I thought that was the right way to go. I'm glad he didn't start name calling potential Republican challengers and stick to the record. And when he does that, it's a very effective case that he can make. Ironically,
on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd give him maybe an 8.
Yeah,
8.5.
Sure, okay.
Okay.
I would agree with that. Ironically, just minutes before he made that announcement, Ron DeSantis was speaking at a Republican event. Where was this?
Somewhere else in Florida?
The Republican Governors Association meeting in Orlando. Yes, he was speaking at that event. So he's at a Republican event in front of a lot of Republican, politicians, not a public event like Donald Trump was at, but he was speaking just minutes before Trump was making his announcement, and apparently, from all reports, received a raucous standing ovation from the group of Republicans gathered.
I'm okay with
at that event. Yeah. So DeSantis is getting a standing O minutes before Donald Trump goes out and makes his speech. So sort of ironic timing on how those two things worked out. We are going to talk a little bit more about Trump's announcement and the fallout from it and reaction to it with our friend Virginia Kruta from the Daily Wire. Mike Pence, who is also expected to announce his candidacy for presidency for the Republicans, was on Fox and Friends this morning, and he reacted to Trump's announcement and made the prediction that Donald Trump will not win the Republican nomination.
Well, that's interesting.
For 2024.
Okay.
So we will tell you about that and get your reaction and the reaction from Virginia Kruta from the Daily Wire when we get back to Colombo and Katie. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Stream Colombo and Katie at newstalkstl.com. The latest news.
Historic landslide victory.
Things did not quite turn out the way we had hoped. Congratulations to Governor Brian Kemp.
4 years to keep our state moving.
The news you need to know.
I'm grateful tonight.
Thank you so much.
Concede this race to J.D. Vance.
We won, and we won big.
And the place to talk about it.
Whether you're Republican, Democrat, or Independent.
The people have spoken.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
So it is a great time of year to be out on the water fishing. It is a great time to catch the big fish. And if you are going to be out on the water or out in the great outdoors in any way, also hunting season, archery season has been underway for several weeks in both Missouri and Illinois. Rifle season starting up as well. And if you're going to be enjoying the great outdoors in the woods or on the water anytime soon, make sure that you are prepared by visiting our friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton, Illinois, about a mile east of Fast Eddie's. Bluff City Outdoors for decades has been the place to go before your next fishing trip. And then this year they expanded, and it has to be at least doubled the size of the original store with this massive expansion. And they opened up their archery range out there, which is absolutely incredible. So, along with that archery range comes a larger selection of products for more outdoor activities. So whether you're going to be out hunting or you're going to be out fishing, before your next trip to the great outdoors, make sure that you stop by and visit Bluff City Outdoors in Alton, Illinois. And you can learn more on the website, or you can follow them on Facebook, Bluff City Outdoors on Facebook, or just go to bluffcityoutdoors.com.
The Range St. Louis West is Missouri's best indoor shooting range. With 20 climate-controlled lanes, over 70 firearms available to rent, and the best staff in the business, you're guaranteed to enjoy every minute of your time with us. Our impressive showroom is full of the latest and greatest offerings from the best manufacturers in the business. Need an optic, spare magazines, holster, or any other accessory? Let our professional staff help you find exactly what you need and get it installed for you. Mention you heard us on News Talk STL and save $100 on your membership and enjoy even more goodies. The Range St. Louis West. Are you ready?
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Kenny Zhu, president of Color Us United.
Race became a profitable industry. That's what happened. Racial victimhood. We all believe in civil rights, but then there are people who actually profit off of racial victimhood in this country. Diversity, equity, and inclusion right now, the new hot thing in companies, is a $10 billion plus industry.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 3:30 on News Talk STL.
Hey, Tony Colombo here from my good friends at Great Harvest Bread Company in Maplewood, one of my all-time favorite local businesses. Great Harvest Maplewood is the best, especially this time of year. It is impossible to make a bad decision at Great Harvest, whether it's muffins, cookies, snickerdoodles, or, of course, the bread, especially the pumpkin bread. Great Harvest in Maplewood is in a league of their own. They're located at 7360 Manchester Road and online at greatharvestmaplewood.com.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Wednesday, Happy Hump Day. We'll have Dr. Link at 407, at 425, Mike Ferguson at 525. The most conservative governors won.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 3:30 on News Talk STL. You're listening to Colombo and Katie.
my shoes, my toes are busted. My kitchen says my bread is molded. I got a good job.
And the Dollar Store. Welcome back to Colombo and Katie on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. I just heard myself talking about Great Harvest Bread Company in Maplewood in that break there, and wanted to let you guys know that Great Harvest Maplewood visited us earlier today. Steve, the owner of Great Harvest Maplewood, stopped by the radio station earlier today. I'm going to post some stuff on Twitter at Tony Colombo Talk about that visit. And Stell, oh my goodness, he brought us some stuff, and I don't know if you're familiar with
I love their stuff.
That location, it is.
Yes, the one in Maplewood and the one in Kirkwood. And Steve and I chatted a little bit, and I told him, we used to go to one that I think was around the Creve Coeur area, and he said, yeah, Olivet.
That was him.
Yeah,
that
was
theirs.
It. And he goes, that was mine.
Yep, and then they moved that location to the Maplewood location and have been there for years now in Maplewood. And oh my, it is just unbeatable.
The bread's awesome, just
unbeatable.
awesome.
The bread, the cookie, the cookies, the muffins, the snickerdoodles, donuts. Even it's just it's so good, and it was so good to see them. And they can help you out on your holiday meals too. Thanksgiving and Christmas, you could place special orders for bread and rolls and things like that to help out your holiday meals. You just got to get your orders in early. So if that's something you want to take advantage of, you can do that there as well. But Great Harvest Maplewood, man, unbeatable. And it was great to see them today.
I love seeing all the ingredients when I walk in. Everything is spread out in the
smell.
back. The smell. Oh, my goodness. Yes.
Oh, my goodness. So good.
Love it.
Somebody else who knows something about great bakeries is our next friend and guest, and that is Virginia Kruta from the Daily Wire. Virginia, thanks for your time today. How are you?
I was wondering if you were going to make that connection, or if you were just going to promote another bakery and then invite me on.
No. Listen, on the east side, you go to Kruta Bakery, and then on the Missouri side, you go to Great Harvest Maplewood. That's how it works.
You can drive across the river to get to it.
but you have
We let you do that.
You have wonderful options on each side, unbeatable options on each side. I don't know if you heard that first segment. Stella and I were sort of giving our reaction to Trump's announcement last night. I personally thought he did a nice job, and I am someone who has been very critical of the former president recently, and in one of currently in the camp that I think that it would be better if somebody else were to lead the party in 2024. But I thought last night was what he should do. He didn't call names, attack other people in the Republican Party. Did a great job, in my opinion, of laying out his track record and making the stark difference between the country that was when he was president and what it is now under Joe Biden and the Democrats. What did you think of the announcement last night?
Well, here's the thing. I think that if ill-timed, it was at least a good speech.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a couple of things. One, if he's going to be running for president, I think it would have been wise to wait until after the Georgia runoff to do it. At least.
Mm-hmm.
Because then he can't, because he can go out and campaign for Herschel Walker. And he can do it all day long. And it's not about him.
Right.
But the minute he announced his campaign, even though he did, and as he should, say from the stage, you need to go support Herschel Walker in Georgia, it's still about him. And so that kind of, it undercuts it just a little bit, because then you give a little bit more momentum to the anti-Trump people in Georgia who want to prevent anyone Trump's tied to from getting elected, especially if they think Trump might be the nominee. Without Trump being tied to Herschel Walker as the potential GOP 2024 nominee, I think he's actually stronger in Georgia right now, because opposing Trump is what got us 2 Democrat senators in the state of Georgia in the first place.
It's the best. It's the best way that Democrats can run an election just about anywhere. It's against Donald Trump. It's the only thing that they can do.
Right.
It's the only way
That's
Joe Biden
true.
won, and so it's a good point. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And the other thing that I would say, and I know we're getting ready for what everybody expects to be a bruiser of a primary, which is fine. I think that a lot of times if you go into a primary and it is rough, you often whoever comes out of that primary comes out stronger.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, you look at what if we go back to George H.W. Bush and Reagan. You know, they ended up working together, but it was an ugly primary going into it. And I mean, that's going back to like 1980. So
right. Let me ask you this.
Go way back there.
Before we go off of Georgia, I want to ask you this because there's been a lot of people who have said exactly what you just said, that he should have waited till Georgia was set up. Yeah, a lot of people have said it, and a lot of people have said that if he does announce before it's over, he should stay out of it. He should not campaign for Herschel Walker, even if he doesn't. He should just he should keep his distance. What about? Do you think that there's any chance? And would it be, and even if not, or if so, would it be the right thing to do that if the party, if Trump and DeSantis and Pence and anybody else, if they would leave 2024 out of it for 4 weeks and everybody were to come out and campaign or support Herschel Walker, kind of put everybody in, like say, look, we are all united on this front, would that be something that A, is possible, and B, something that would be a good thing and could maybe even push Herschel over the finish line?
I think it would be I'll answer your second question first. I think it would be effective, and I think it would be a good thing. Do I think it can happen? No.
Yeah.
But I think that has more to do with Herschel Walker than it does with Trump. And that's really it. It's more because if you look at the number of Republicans who were willing to turn on him because someone accused him of something. Because we still don't know if that happened. Now, realistically, it's kind of disappeared out of the news cycle because everything else happened. But there were a number of Republicans who were ready to not vote for him at all because of that. And what I do think is interesting, and I don't know if I've brought this up with you before, but Joey Jones, he's a contributor on Fox. He calls himself the explosively retired bomb tech. He lost both of his legs in Afghanistan. And he was talking about a friend that he spoke to because he lives in Georgia, and he said, my friend is a Democrat, and he's a business owner, and I asked him who he voted for, and he told me. He said, I voted for Warnock because I'm a Democrat and I want a Democrat-controlled Senate. But I'm also a business owner, and if you look at the way COVID was handled in Georgia, Kemp earned my vote. So we were people were asking, they were kind of mocking the idea of the possibility that there would be, Kemp and Warnock voters. There are.
There obviously was. Because Kemp won pretty handily, and Warnock was leading the vote.
People were concerned. They were saying that Republicans aren't going to go out and vote for Kemp and then vote for a pro-abortion pastor. That's not what happened, though. Democrats went out and voted for Warnock and crossed party lines to vote for Kemp.
The other way.
I think it was the other way around.
Yeah.
And so, but then here's the kicker, though. The follow-up question to that was, who are you going to vote for in the runoff? And he said, man, I'm a business owner. I don't got time for that. He's not going to vote in the runoff. So the question is, how many of these people who went out and voted for Warnock and were really excited about the general election, how many of them are going to, because that turnout's going to come down from a general election to a runoff. It just will.
Absolutely.
The question is, who is going to go out and get... The best hope that we have, honestly, is the youth vote. And I say that in kind of a backwards way, because the youth vote is kind of what drove Democrats over the line in this election, the 18 to 29, 18 to 40 age group. And what I think is interesting is that this is the instant gratification generation more than anyone else. I mean, you and I grew up watching TV and realizing, okay, well, we have to wait an entire week for the next episode. You didn't binge stuff because it wasn't there, but the voters that went out, these 18 to 40-year-olds, they don't understand that mentality. And so when they go out and vote and they don't see a result, are they going to go out and vote again just in case they might get the result they wanted the first time?
Yeah. You're exactly
I don't know.
Right.
If they're programmed to want instant gratification, they may not even go out again because they're like, well, it didn't work the first time.
What's your gut feeling on the results of Georgia?
I don't have one at this point.
Don't have one, yeah.
Because, like I said, there are issues on both sides of that one. I will say this though, going into kind of back to Trump and what he said. I appreciate the fact that he didn't attack anybody, that he didn't attack Republicans. And honestly, that is what made me angry about the last week since the election, that he spent all that time attacking Republicans who didn't do anything to him.
I couldn't agree more. That was one of the best parts of that.
At best, they ignored him. And I guess that was the problem. But I posted something about this. You know what Reagan's 11th commandment is, right? Thou shalt do no harm to other Republicans, basically.
Yes.
And I said the secret of Reagan's 11th commandment is that it was never about Republicans being nice to other Republicans. It was about ensuring that when there were fractures in the party, because there will be, Democrats don't get to see where they are.
Right. Yeah.
So if you have a problem with another Republican, you tell him.
Right.
You don't broadcast it on social media. You say, okay, we need to fix this problem. You don't put it out there and then just let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah.
And the problem is there are far too many people, Trump included, who have learned I can get attention if I attack the right person at the right time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the media eats it up. That's like Stell said in the last segment. That's why I think, and as Stell was saying, that some people in the media have been critical of that announcement yesterday and calling it boring and bland because he didn't attack anybody. So they that's what they want. So since he didn't do that, they criticize him even for that. Speaking of party divide, I want to get your reaction on this this interview that Mike Pence did earlier today. We're talking to Virginia Crudup from the Daily Wire. Mike Pence was on Fox and Friends this morning, and he said that he does not think Donald Trump is going to win the 2024 Republican nomination. Now, Mike Pence is probably running for president himself, so of course he's going to say that. But still interesting. Here's the story. Mike Pence said that he believes Republicans are ready to deviate from Donald Trump in 2024, saying, quote, "As I've traveled around the country over the last 2 years, people have repeatedly come up to me and said, we want to get back to the policies of the Trump-Pence administration, but I think there's a genuine desire for leadership that could unite the country around our highest ideals and for more of the civility and respect that Americans show each other every day." He said, "I'm out of politics now, and once you get out of politics and you move back to Indiana, you realize that the American people actually get along pretty well most days, and it's our politics that are deeply divided. I think I have a sense that the American people want a new style of leadership that will reflect the way that we deal with each other every single day." He went on to brag about the Trump-Pence administration and all of their accomplishments. He talked about how the former president, he was always loyal to him and he considered him a friend. He talked about the fallout, after January 6th, but was still in very Mike Pence way, very civil. Didn't get nasty at all when discussing that. But what do you think about the former vice president's prediction that the American people they want Trump's policies, but they don't want Trump's leadership?
That really depends on where you go, and I'm sure that you're aware of that. It does depend on where you go, to a degree. But I would say one thing. I think we can all agree that Trump is a disruptor.
Mm-hmm.
At least as we know him thus far, he's a disruptor. And the problem with a disruptor is that once everything is disrupted, you don't necessarily have a need for a disruptor.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, if you bring one back, you might end up with chaos instead of progress. So that's one question. And to answer that question, you'd have to answer several more, being, has he learned anything from the last time that he was president? Has he learned anything about the way he should be talking, the way he should be hiring people and vetting them prior to doing so?
Yeah.
Things like that. Has he learned anything about building a team that can get these things done? Because it's one thing to have good policies.
Or stay a team for longer than a week.
You need to have good policy ideas, but you also need to be able to implement them in a way that they stick.
Yeah.
And something that he said at his speech last night, the one thing that I said that I don't understand. I know why he brought it up, because it's kind of a hot button issue. It's not one that everybody talks about all the time, but term limits for Congress. Now, I know you live in Missouri, and you have term limits in the state House and Senate.
Yep.
I live in Illinois. We do not have term limits.
Mm-hmm.
And there are certain people that I'm sure we'd love to see term limited out. But you also know that there are risks and limitations to what can get done if you have term limits. Because then you're getting rid of the people who are doing a good job just as quickly as you're getting rid of the people who are doing a bad job.
Yep.
My concern with term limits is that there are 535 people in Congress, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know how much damage one lame duck president can do. What happens when you have 535 lame duck Congress people?
Yeah.
Who don't care. They're not beholden to the voters. They don't have to win a re-election, and they can do whatever they want. And now, obviously, they wouldn't all come up at the same time, and so that's an exaggeration. But the reality is, and I think it was Ted Cruz who said this a few years ago, we do have term limits. They are called elections.
Yeah.
And until the people are smart enough to replace the bad people with good people, forcing them to get rid of the bad people won't make them elect good people.
Yeah. Yep. You're exactly right. And I agree. I personally totally agree with that. As much as I understand and also get personally frustrated with somebody who has, served in the same congressional seat for 20 or 30 years, how I shake my head at that and say, I can't believe that is the case. I also, if that's if that's the voter's choice, then that's, to me, what trumps all. No pun intended.
If San Francisco is still voting for Nancy Pelosi, what are the odds that they'll pick somebody?
Yeah, just because she's term limited out doesn't mean it's going to get any better in San Francisco. No, you are exactly right. Unfortunately, we're just about out of time. That is our friend Virginia Kruta from The Daily Wire. Make sure you check out her stuff on thedailywire.com. Also on our website, newstalkstl.com. And she joins us every Wednesday here on Colombo and Katie. Thank you so much, Virginia. We will talk to you soon. Have a great rest of your day.
You too.
That is Virginia Kruta from Daily Wire. Great stuff from her. I want to get into a little bit more of this Mike Pence interview from earlier today, because he shed some light on that January 6th exchange between him and Trump, which I think everybody finds pretty fascinating. Also, get you that update on the Paul Pelosi situation. As Stell said earlier, it just gets weirder and weirder. I'll tell you about it in just a second. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Colombo and Katie on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Follow us on Getter at News Talk STL. This is News Talk STL. News, analysis, and opinion from the voices you know and trust. News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and newstalkstl.com.
What if everything you thought and believed to be true about owning and buying your home turned out to be wrong?
Straightforward, objective advice on the right way to make the most out of every dollar you put into your home.
We're the only country that has one of those. Most other countries, considering like Canada, the UK, they don't have long-term fixed-rate mortgages like that. They're all variable-rate mortgages.
HomeWise with Michael Midget, Sunday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Speaker Tim Jones here. Have you heard about the brand new best St. Louis sports bar and grill experience in the region? Johnny's Hideout in High Ridge, Missouri. 10 minutes from 270 and Gravois. 30 TVs, a huge game room, a great outdoor patio. The Sunset Patio, complete with the Sunset Stage and the train station bar. Open 6 days a week, serving lunch and dinner, featuring famous Johnny Dow's chicken wings and the best barbecue in town. When you're there, check out the VIP Speaker of the House table on your next visit. On the web, jhideout.com. That's Johnny's Hideout in High Ridge.
Hi, I'm Jen Wallner.
And I'm Rodney Wallner with the Wallner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway.
Hey, Rodney, how do you sell your home for top dollar?
That's easy. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What if I want a flexible commission rate?
Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
When's the best time to sell your home?
Right now. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
For all your real estate needs, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
That's 314-810-SOLD.
Hey, it's Katie, reminding you to subscribe to our show podcast so you never miss anything that happens here at News Talk STL. Get our podcasts every day on the show pages at newstalkstl.com, or just subscribe to your favorite shows on Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, or anywhere else you get your podcasts.
You're listening to Colombo and Katie.
Welcome back to Colombo and Katie on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL. Yeah, just to wrap up this conversation about Mike Pence's interview earlier today on Fox and Friends, he made the prediction that Donald Trump will not win the 2024 Republican nomination because he said that as much as American voters want to return to the policies of the Trump-Pence administration, they are not prepared anymore for the leadership style of Donald Trump. He said that he was the right man at the right time in 2016 and was perfect for the job then, but not now in 2024. He also talked about their fallout, which I think is one of the biggest black marks on Donald Trump's past and reputation, the way that he sort of threw Mike Pence under the bus and some of the things that he said about the vice president at the end there. And so I thought this was very fascinating. He talked about their conversations after and during January 6th and said, quote, "I was very candid with him. We were very straightforward with each other. I sensed in the president genuine remorse for what had happened." Pence said he reminded Trump that he would never stop praying for him, but said they later decided to go their separate ways after Trump returned to the rhetoric that he claimed called into question his loyalty to the Constitution. Trump calling Pence's loyalty to the Constitution into question. And that is why the former vice president said he had to step away. And he was at that point done with Donald Trump. Real quick before we run out of time, NBC Bay Area affiliates report on Paul Pelosi attack shares key details with previously redacted report. A new NBC Bay Area report about the assault on Paul Pelosi last month includes several of the same details in NBC News' redacted national report that suggested Pelosi may not have been in immediate danger when police arrived prior to his attack. If you remember, because we talked about this when it happened, NBC News national correspondent Miguel Almoguer, I'm not going to even try that again, reported on November 4th that police didn't know they were responding to the Pelosi residence, and Pelosi opened the door for police but didn't attempt to escape or declare an emergency, and even walked away from police back towards his eventual attacker. That report was erased from all NBC News platforms later in the day. It was scrubbed from social media, and NBC News issued an editor's note on its website reading, "This piece has been removed from publication because it did not meet NBC News reporting standards," and then they suspended the reporter.
That's bizarre.
And that was all on November 4th. And now the local NBC affiliate there in the Bay Area has put out a new report.
Mm-hmm. And it corroborates.
That basically says all the same things.
Yes, it corroborates everything. Yes.
And NBC News is not, they were reached out to, but has not commented on why this NBC News report is out there and valid and staying up, whereas the identical report from 10 days ago or whatever it was, not only was taken down, but had the reporter suspended.
And you know that the national one had to go through certain steps just to get validated to be aired on the national news.
Yeah. And if they're going to, if it's going to stay up and if it's all true, I think they owe Miguel an apology and back pay.
Yes. Yes.
From his suspension. As you said, Stell, it just gets weirder and weirder. Speaking of weird, Mark Close. Pretty weird guy. And he is going to join us in just a moment. It's Wednesday, so we're going to open up Close's Cabinet. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Colombo and Katie on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Since 2007, the state of Missouri and local governments have handed out almost $5 billion in tax subsidies or abatements to private developers. That money could have gone to basic services like schools and public safety. And studies show these subsidies don't produce the promised jobs and growth. If developers want to build a sports stadium or shopping mall, why should they be given our tax dollars to do it? It's time to reform economic development subsidies. The Show Me message has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Hey guys, Colombo here, reminding you that if you belong to an organization like a school or a church, or your kids are part of a group or a sports team that needs to raise money, there's no better way to do so than with a TJ's Pizza fundraiser. TJ's Pizza has been helping local organizations raise money for over 30 years to the tune of tens of millions of dollars. A local company helping local people, and there's lots of different ways TJ's can help you raise big money fast. Get started now at tjspizza.com.
Hey folks, here's great news for active aging seniors. The Kanega Watch, the only medical alert smartwatch with built-in fall detection. Yeah, the Kanega Watch is much different than the other guys. It's a stylish, discreet watch you can wear all the time. Get help through the watch in one of three ways. Your voice, pushing the watch's alert button, or have the fall detection connect you to a U.S.-based 24/7 monitoring center who'll speak to you through your watch and can send help to your GPS location nationwide. And get this, it can do that even if you're not responsive. This is true 24/7 peace of mind for you and those that love you. Order your Kanega Watch with a full refund 30-day trial period. Call now, 800-413-7152. 800-413-7152. 800-413-7152. That's 800-413-7152.
So we were reminded this week how quickly St. Louis weather can get fairly intense and how quickly it can change. And we know that there is going to be some extreme cold, as there always is in the upcoming St. Louis winter. You want to make sure that your home is warm and comfortable for your family. So if you are experiencing any issues with your HVAC system, with your furnace, as you are turning it back on and running it consistently now, or you think it's time to put in a new system, call our friends at Agers HVAC. Agers Heating and Air Conditioning, their number one priority is doing right by the customer, and that is such peace of mind for me and for so many customers of Agers around the area. If you're putting in a new system, they'll show up at your house with a mobile showroom. Only Agers has that. Their commitment to customer service is second to none. Learn more about Agers at callagers.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. NATO member Poland and the head of the military alliance both say that a missile strike in Polish farmland that killed 2 people appeared to be unintentional. It was probably launched by air defenses in neighboring Ukraine. Russia had been bombarding Ukraine at the time. About 24 L.A. County Sheriff's Department's recruits were injured this morning when they were struck by a wrong-way SUV driver during a training run in a Whittier neighborhood. Speaking to KABC TV, County Fire Department spokesperson Captain Sheila Kelleher says the investigation is now underway.
We do not have a cause. We do not have any other information on how the driver lost control.
Some are in critical condition. A field sobriety test on the driver was negative. Also at townhall.com, Elon Musk is giving Twitter workers until close of business Thursday to decide whether they want to keep their jobs.
According to an email new owner Elon Musk sent to Twitter workers, they have until 5 p.m. Thursday to click yes on a link if they want to be part of the new Twitter, which he calls a software and servers company at its heart. Employees who don't reply by that time will receive 3-month severance pay, according to the email. Musk said Twitter will be much more engineering-driven, with employees who write great code comprising the majority. The billionaire, who completed the $44 billion takeover of the social media site last month, has already fired much of its full-time workforce by email. Julie Walker, New York.
And on Wall Street, a lower close today. The Dow off 27 points. The NASDAQ finished 174 points lower. More at townhall.com.
You know how much you're really paying for life insurance through work? I can almost guarantee you're overpaying for limited coverage. I'm Joel Clark, a Select Quote agent for over 20 years. My clients are shocked to learn how expensive life insurance at work really is because of a rate that's driven up by unhealthy people. Why pay more when you don't have to? For over 35 years, Select Quote has helped people save 50% or more by shopping highly rated insurance carriers. I found a 40-year-old man with high blood pressure, a $500,000 policy for only $18 a month. Don't procrastinate. Workplace open enrollment will be here soon. Let SelectQuote save you money and get you the coverage you need to protect your family.
For your free quote in just minutes, call 1-800-865-2266. That's 1-800-865-2266. 1-800-865-2266. Or go to SelectQuote.com. Full details on example policy and carrier ratings at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Price could vary by health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
Health officials have shut down a top university in a Chinese capital, Beijing, following the discovery of at least one positive COVID case.
Last week, China's health authorities promised the country's angry population that while the zero COVID strategy would remain in place, the restrictions used to maintain that strategy would become more precise. Mass lockdowns would be avoided. That pledge is being tested following a surge in positive cases, 20,000 new cases on Tuesday alone. In Beijing, Peking University's 25,000 students were told to remain on campus and classes were moved online. Many other cities are also reporting widespread lockdowns and mass testing.
BBC correspondent Celia Hatton. Higher prices for food and energy drove Britain's inflation rate to its highest since October 1981. It even exceeds the record 10.7% inflation that was seen last month. Breaking news at townhall.com. The World Cup in Qatar got off to a rocky start for a Danish TV news crew.
It started as reporter Rasmus Tantholdt was speaking to a news anchor on the TV2 channel.
Jamen, vi kan jo vise, hvordan forholdene er lige her, hvis vi drejer kameraet. We are live on Danish television.
3 men drove up behind him on an electric cart and tried to block the camera lens.
Mister, you invited the whole world to you invited the whole world to come here. Why can't we film? It's a public place.
Tantholdt showed the men his press credentials.
No, but listen, you can break the camera. You want to break the camera? Okay, you break the camera. Okay. Yes. So you're threatening us by smashing the camera.
Qatari World Cup organizers have apologized. I'm Ed Donahue.
Deshaun Watson practicing with the Cleveland Browns for the first time since his 11-game NFL suspension started in August. Watson, who is accused of sexual misconduct by more than 24 women in Texas, also fined $5 million. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Candidacy for president
this week on News Talk STL.
With the completion of the midterm election, now the 2024 presidential election is in front of us.
News, analysis, opinion.
The G20 summit.
And I do not think there's any imminent attempt on the part of China to invade Taiwan.
Americans are desperate for deals as inflation soars. They're looking for cheaper items.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
There's a lot happening.
And always streaming at newstalkstl.com. From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
I'm News 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton with your first alert forecast. A stray flurry still possible early evening, otherwise mainly dry and cold tonight, low down to 25. A touch warmer Thursday, but it's still cold, 43 for the high, and that's more typical around Christmas time temperatures. A few flurries are possible yet again Thursday evening. No impacts on the roads. Temperatures will stay above freezing when that occurs in St. Louis. And then Friday, our coldest day of the week, a high of just 32 degrees with mostly sunny skies. That's the latest first alert forecast. I'm News 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
Got some news for you.
When it's important to you, stay informed. It's on News Talk STL.
Retire Nancy Pelosi.
Let's just get through the election, okay?
Ask the voters to come out and vote one last time. Vote for Herschel Walker. And we've seen that Herschel Walker has a disturbing history.
And I do not think there's any imminent attempt on the part of China to invade Taiwan.
News, analysis, and opinion.
There's a lot happening.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. News, analysis, opinion.
I am tonight announcing my candidacy.
He wants to say current, then he's got to shift attention from himself to the agenda.
101.9 and 94.1.
Some talking about DeSantis.
News Talk STL. You're listening to Colombo and Katie.
Welcome back to Colombo and Katie on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. One more segment to go until we turn things over to Tim Jones and Chris Arp show at 3:30. A lot of conversation in that 2 o'clock hour about Mitch McConnell being reelected to his leadership position in the Senate, Trump's announcement, Mike Pence's interview this morning on Fox and Friends. If you missed any of that, remember that you don't have to miss anything that ever happens here on Colombo and Katie. You can subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast platform. We put the show out as a podcast shortly after we go off the air every day, and we are on all of them: Spotify, Apple, Amazon, Google, wherever you listen to podcasts. You can subscribe to us there. You can also subscribe to us on the YouTube channel, the Colombo and Katie YouTube channel, and that goes for all of the shows here at News Talk STL. Subscribe to the podcast, subscribe to the YouTube channels, so you never miss anything that happens anywhere. All right, it is Wednesday. It's a little after 3 o'clock, so that means it's time for this.
It's that time again. Time to open up closest cabinet and see what's inside.
Mark Close from KC95, buddy. What's up?
I'm here. I'm doing well, and to my good friend Stell.
Yeah.
A word of just advice is maybe drop this Colombo guy, come back to Casey, and start rocking out with us. Little Quicksilver messenger service, my friend. I'm telling you, man, this is. I mean, the numbers got to be spiking down there with the music you're pulling out. This is excellent stuff, my friend.
Thanks,
Good
buddy.
job.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Mark, Stell takes it seriously whenever your segment is coming up. He makes sure that the music is right for sure.
Well, and without him, you're pulling out this rap crap that, so but, you do what you got to do, man. You do what you got to do, so.
I stay up all night. Yeah, working on my song list. Yep.
So what's new in your world? A little snow this week. That was interesting.
Yeah, how about that? Mm-hmm. How about that? Was out and about and went out and sold meat from out of a truck. We do that. I've been doing that a lot. I was in Deloge, Missouri, which I think may be actually in Canada. It seemed like it on the drive out. It was a long drive, but ran into some great folks out in Deloge, good folks, and did that. And looking forward to Turkey Day. And,
can you explain selling meat out of the back of a truck, please?
I'll be glad to do it for you. There's a company, Crime House Direct. They come out of Texas. They come into the market. They have a giant semi filled with delicious frozen meats. They get ribeyes and steaks and chicken. and you just drive up, and they have a tent set up in a parking lot at different locations, and you buy meat.
Yeah.
So,
out of a truck. You're exactly right.
Out of a truck, baby. Hey, what? And who said showbiz wasn't exciting? Huh? So,
can you believe can you believe that when we talk to you next week, it'll be the day before Thanksgiving?
I'm telling you, and
it's wild.
I remember my parents always, especially my old man, like, man, the older you get, the faster it goes. I'm still writing like 2015 on my checks. This is insane, and I still write checks. That's even more of it. I'm the last human being on earth that writes out checks. But this year just went, this is ridiculous. I mean, the fact that we're almost done with this year is just insane. So yeah, it's speeding right along, but it just, hey, I'm glad to be here. Like I said, at my age, I don't know if I mentioned this, somebody brought this up to me and said at our age, it's better to be seen than viewed. And I'm like, hallelujah, brother. Hallelujah. So,
do you
much better.
Do you write checks like at the store? Like, or you just pay bills with them? Or do you write checks like at the grocery store to pay?
No, I pay bills with them. My lovely wife Fern was at a store like 6 months ago, one of the grocery stores, and wrote a check, and the cashier didn't know what it was. And just literally had to call over a manager. It's like, what is this paper thing you're handing me? Was totally clueless, and had to bring the manager over. So I only do it. I don't pay my bills online or anything.
Yeah.
The Russians will get a hold of it.
Hey, I'm actually with you on that. We still pay bills with checks. We still do that, but yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad to hear you're not doing it at the checkout register.
I got to tell you, Mark, my wife does it quite a bit at the grocery store, and she has the same issue with young folks who are ringing her up at the cash register, and they look at her. What is this?
What the heck is this? Yeah,
like you're funny. An alien or something. It's like, what is this? So yeah, it's so I don't do it too often, but when I do, it always gets a look.
And it makes it a lot of fun for the folks that are behind her in line who are waiting.
Oh my God! It's like paying your bill in quarters and nickels. It's like, move on, brother. So yeah.
Do you remember what was the plus sign thing that you did on the top of a check? Either of you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, and you would put one little thing in each
and each little coordinate. Yeah, I remember when I used to work in retail, you when you were paying for it with a check at a store, you'd have to write this make this cross, this plus sign thing, and then there was numbers that you had to put in each one for some reason. I can't remember what it was exactly.
I don't recall either.
But man, yeah.
You remember, Mark?
The old days.
Yeah. Not sure what it was. So,
all right. Yeah. Okay. Let's get out of the nursing home and
okay.
Let's talk about a few. Anything else? Anything else you want to talk about besides meat in a truck before I steal your segment here, Mark?
The one part is that the fact that we've gone squirrel crap crazy in the world. I don't know if you saw this.
Squirrel crap. Okay.
In the squirrel crap crazy.
Yeah, that's a level up from bat crap, I think. So.
Yeah, I know. This is, there's more squirrels than there are bats. Anyway, it was on front page of the Wall Street Journal a couple of days ago. Sleeping on the job pays off when you're on TikTok. There's this guy that goes to bed every night at 10 o'clock. He's online. He has 1 million viewers that watch him sleep. He's making $35,000 a month from people watching him sleep. I'm like, what? What? Do you watch a guy? I'm amazed. I mean, again, I know I'm old. I'm a dinosaur. I don't even know what this TikTok nonsense is. But you go watch me sleep for half price. How about that? Give me $17.5 a month, and you can watch me sleep, dude. You can watch me 24 hours a day if you want. Well, what is that? You walk in and your kid's sitting there looking at his, computer. What are you doing? Oh, watching this guy sleep.
That is...
Come again?
So, some people think that being a YouTuber or a live streamer, on TikTok or Twitch or any other platform.
Right.
Like that's not a legitimate job. Like I completely disagree. I think there are some incredible content creators on platforms like that make a lot of money, but they do something that is creative and compelling and interesting. And either entertaining or educational or whatever it may be. So, like, I am usually somebody who defends people who make a whole lot of money on a social media platform like that. But that is baffling to me. Like, how? What are you getting from? What are the people getting from that? What is the reason for watching someone sleep? Makes no sense to me.
The one individual said, "I find it super soothing." Like almost a companionship in an odd way. I watch it basically to prep for bed myself. It's like, I got an idea. Get tired and go to bed. Go out, take a walk, do some laundry. Get tired, go to bed, save the money. Unbelievable. I'm ready to kind of cash out at this point. I don't understand anymore. I just don't understand.
We've talked about. I was not going to talk about this today, but when you said. Sleeping on the job and working from home, I thought you were going to go. I not know you were going to go to TikTok and making money doing that. But it reminded me of this story that I came across a little while back about what they call overemployment and how rampant that is starting to be across the country. And this is as people went back as working from home became such a popular thing and still is, people started to realize that they could not tell their main job or their first job or however you want to say it.
Yes.
And they could apply for another full-time job as long as it was a work from home full-time job. And people they call it overemployment, working 2 full-time jobs from home, but the 2 employers don't know about it. There's even a website that I think is called overemployed.com that teaches you, gives you tips and tricks on how to balance the two and not get caught. I don't know if that's nefarious or brilliant, but it also says something about the real productivity of a workday, especially when you're working from home, if it is apparently so easy to work 2 full-time jobs at the same time.
You're double dipping, but like you said, if it kind of tells you that if you're doing both these jobs, neither one of them sound like they're very difficult. If you could do 2 of them at one time, and is your boss overpaying you for the one or 2 of them? That's another thing. And I guess until they find out, or is it say that in your resume when you fill out your application, you fill out a job, I'm going to work for you. I don't remember ever seeing anywhere on an application, and you can't work for anybody else at the same time. I've never seen that. So
right.
Dude, run with it.
Yeah, and do you have to change pajamas in between each job as you're going back?
Absolutely. So this guy's making his money sleeping and doing something else on the side. Oh my God, it's just getting nuttier.
Yeah. Overemployment. That's what it's called. And
right.
Yeah, it's apparently something that is like really catching on, and people are working 2 full-time jobs, hiding it from their employers, and double dipping and taking advantage of being at home. Let's go ahead. Go, Mark.
You're going to say you talked about 2 people that have been working at home, and now a lot of employers are saying you have to come back to work. You got to be back at work. And some of these people that have been working at home are suing the employer.
Yeah.
Again, just like, you can't make me come back. Well, I probably can.
Yeah.
Again, unless you've got it in a contract that says you can work at home or whatever, and they're just appalled that their boss would ask them to come back to the job that they originally signed on to do and do it at that location. That's another one that mystifies me.
No kidding.
Well, you kind of started there and you got lucky, or if it did and stayed home and saved gas money and all that, but it's like your employer he pays you a certain amount of money to do a job in a certain location. You don't have to do it, but if he's going to take his money, then you got to do it the way he wants you to do it. So, amazing.
If just one person who is suing because they have to go back to work wins, it's, oh my goodness. It's
it opens the floodgates, so we're done
disaster.
We're done for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of the holidays being right around the corner, there's a brand new product just in time for the holidays that you guys may want to take advantage of.
I know where you're going.
Do you? Figgy
green bean casserole?
No.
Oh,
Well,
okay. Go ahead.
But I want to know why you thought that in a second. Figgy pudding flavored. Anybody want to take a guess at the next word I'm going to say?
Ice cream?
Nope. Figgy
Soda?
pudding flavored Spam.
Oh, my. Oh, that's scary.
Wow.
Has arrived on grocery shelves just in time for the holidays.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Is that imported or is that made here?
Yeah.
2 packs. 2 packs of Spam Figgy Pudding are available for a limited time. You can get them on Amazon right now for $10.
Must be a delicacy.
Walmart's website, among other places. And apparently it's selling out.
Wow.
In many of the places that it has been released. It says, Spam's definition here says, it's not real figgy pudding, though. It's a much more meat-flavored version. The top ingredient is still pork, so it's figgy pudding flavored, but not the actual dessert.
Now you're giving Mark ideas for another truck.
What is
exactly that? I'll be out hanging out in front of a Walmart selling that stuff. There was also a green bean casserole soda that somebody was selling. They can those sodas. They do that. There's a specialty line of soft drinks, and I know they do like turkey and gravy during the holidays and dressing and stuff like that. But the one I saw was the green bean casserole soda. But then you can also go out. You could buy a candle that smells like Kentucky Fried Chicken. I got an idea. Go to Kentucky Fried Chicken and buy a chicken leg and stick it under your nose. Again, what? I'm you know what it is? I'm upset that I didn't think about it. I'm jealous that I didn't, cater to these morons out there and take their money. I'm mad at myself. I'm upset with myself.
Have you ever had figgy pudding? Either one of you? I can't.
No.
I don't even know what it is. I just know the song.
Yes, made with figs, I guess, which are kind of. I thought figs are kind of sweet, so yeah. But I do love Spam. Oh God, I love me Spam.
Do you?
It sounds British to me, but I'm just guessing.
Well, if you love Spam, are you going to give the figgy pudding Spam a go?
You know what? I will, and then I'm going to go on TikTok, and you can watch me eat it for $10 a month, and I can make my money that way.
Mark, listen, you know what? That probably would work. Seriously.
Oh,
you eating figgy pudding flavored Spam has got to be as entertaining as watching somebody sleep. So why wouldn't that be successful?
A couple of years ago, I know it's been a couple of years. The kid, when he opened the new Disney toys. And people watch. Remember that?
Oh, dude!
Go online.
Yes.
And he made $21 million in 1 year.
Yeah.
Go online and watch. Wow.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. You're probably talking about Ryan. That's the biggest kid the biggest toy reviewing kid who's got toys in Target and everywhere. Like has his whole own line of toys now. Ryan's Toy Review or whatever it was. But that's a whole industry. Talk about making money online. There are hundreds of those type of channels where it's kids or even adults unwrapping or opening up or just opening toys on YouTube and making thousands, if not millions of dollars. Yeah. I'll subscribe to your channel. I'll subscribe to your figgy pudding spam eating channel. So you'll at least get one view, right? All right, we'll have to check that out. All right, Marker. Well, that's enough of this.
God, Hopefully it stops at that, but something tells me that is not. We will be able to beat this next week. So we got that.
Yeah, there'll be more ridiculous products for sure. Marco, thanks as always, buddy, for your time. Talk to you next week on the day before Thanksgiving. That's going to be crazy. Have a good one.
All right, boys. See ya.
See ya, buddy.
It is Mark Close, who joins us every Wednesday as we open up Close's Cabinet and scare away every listener we have at News Talk STL.
Boy, I need some fresh air after that segment.
If I find some figgy pudding flavored spam,
you're going to bring it in the studio?
Would you have will you do a taste test with me on the air?
All right, fine.
All right.
You've forced me into it.
I'll see if I can find it. Apparently it's selling out, so maybe I won't even be able to get my hands on it.
And I'm guessing you're going to find a bottle of that turkey and dressing soda?
No green bean casserole soda. I hate green bean casserole. No chance. I won't make you do that one. All right, that's it. Thank God for Colombo and Katie today. Time to hand things over to the Tim Jones and Chris Arp Show and bring some decorum and seriousness back to this radio station. Don't go anywhere, and thank you so much for listening to us and supporting us here at 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
Here we go again. Candidacy for president.
News, analysis, opinion.
We just got crushed in this election.
We have got to stay focused.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Fox